Ellie versus Garf. If Ellie ends up winning, it's because Ellie is just better. So, for example, let's start from top to bottom. So we got the Garchomp. So Garchomp doesn't necessarily have a free click, and you might be saying like, "Yeah, I do," but there's no real Dragon Resist because you have Fire Blast for the Skarmory. But the thing with the Dragon moves is that yes, Draco might be okay, but there's pros and cons with Draco. Especially if you Draco into the Mew. Because you Draco into the Mew, and then Mew just soft boils and you don't really gain any progress. And then the problem with the Sword Stance set is that Fire Fang just is not good enough. Because of the Skarmory. Fire Fang is just not strong enough for Skarmory. And then so I think in order for Garchomp to really do well here, one, Garf can't be a fat Mew, because if it's fat Mew plus Skarmory plus Donphan plus Cofagrigus, the Garchomp can't really thrive until the end game. So like a Scarf Garchomp is actually pretty good here with Outrage if a lot of conditions are met. Ice Shard, Weavile has to be gone, or he can't be Ice Shard, and his whole Cofagrigus has to be chipped, Donphan has to be chipped. He's got double Ice Shard, and Skarmory's got to be gone. So the Rotom, and when it comes to the Rotom, is like so. Rotom it's an enabler mon. It's not really a mon that has good or bad matchups. So to no surprise, like Rotom looks good here in the sense of one of the things you look for is there any grass type? No. Because you're always going to get a Volt Switch, but that's what Rotom does, because you could always Hydro Pump the Donphan. So, but the thing is like, where does Volt Switch really come into play? And I think that Rotom is okay, but once it's chipped, then Charizard X is going to be able to revenge it with Dragon Claw and shit like that. I do think that when Rotom is at full, yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a problem because it's going to Thunder Wave the Charizard, it's going to Volt Switch, it's going to Hydro Pump the Donphan, but with a little bit of chip, it's going to get picked off by the Mew, by the Charizard, etc. That's kind of the story with the Rotom. Mega Scizor, of course, there is kind of a lot of mons like Cofagrigus, but it's mainly going to be Charizard X. Yeah, sure, you could always switch into the Weavile, but you also got to be worrisome of Natural Gift, Hidden Power Fire, whatever the fuck. Yeah, and then Crobat, not really I mean, there's Skarmory there, so it's not like Banded Brave Bird goes crazy. No. And Garf has a pretty bulky team in general, so it's not like Crobat's doing anything here. Garf has Toxic Spikes. It doesn't really affect a lot, but getting Toxic Spikes up versus Garchomp it isn't bad. So like Crobat's one of its big responsibilities is going to be like defogging potentially for Garchomp. If you are like maybe the Scarf set endgame, Azelf is going to be in the same position as Garchomp. So like in order for Garchomp to do well in the early game, you got to get a prediction. You got to be life orb mixed and get a prediction. And that's kind of the same thing with Azelf. If Garf plays super aggressive, right, you go Weavile on a Psychic. That's going to be really, really bad. But Azelf is just always going to be one of those mons that just like looks scary because like it gets the outspeeds, it's got fire blast for the Weavile and Skarmory, it can shadow ball the Mew, and it can psychic everything else. But it's going to take really good positioning, and it's not really a nasty plot mon because it's just a little bit too frail. And it's and then the last thing is, unless you're Scarf, like you're always just going to get revenge by the Weavile. Florges has no coverage for the Tentacruel and Skarmory, like because it doesn't have Thunderbolt. Breloom and Absol fucking suck. So and I mean vice versa. Like Garf has, where he talked about, he's got toxic spikes. Garf has tons of pivots here for everything. There's no particular threat that the one kid has that Garf can't handle. He can manage everything. Charizard is like Charizard clicking dragon moves is totally fine because the like going like Florges, first and foremost, Florges takes 1,000,000 from Flare Blitz, and two, you could always get up spikes with Skarmory, right? You go Charizard, they go Florges, and then you go into like Skarmory on the Florges, and then you get up spikes. Like it's not that Florges is even good here, but and so Charizard quite freely clicks dragon moves here with a very very low const. And of course, Scizor doesn't work there either, right? You just fucking die the next turn. So I mean, I can go more of the matchup, but that's my 2 cents.
All right, and with that, Mongoose, we're live. We're live with coverage for Resurgence Team Tour to the finals. Back to the finals for the second straight season. The Shuppet Detectives, led by Zeb Strike 'em Down and Necrowolves, back in the finals to defend their crown. Opposing them, the Fluttermane Pirates, sailing the high seas, led by the noble King Rock and D-Bone, Monte, Clay, also on Smogon, known as Damien the Genius or Maniac, something like that. Um, SPL player, I'm pretty sure. With that said, these two teams have already played once in the regular season, with the Shuppets winning that pretty commandingly. I want to say 5-3. Does anybody remember the spread?
I don't know the score, but I think it was one of the later weeks where you could say they were trying to conceal their prep for playoffs, so maybe that's a factor, but
Right.
they did lose.
And with that said, by now you should have seen some prominent players in every single generation cover each of these matchups individually, maybe not over voice, but they've given their input, or at least they've given who they had for the winner. In terms of game picks, I've already heard what everybody has. It's going to be a little bit long. Friday, I'm going to tab you in, though, first to go over your picks.
All right, wow. So, the only two good teams in the tournament, dare I say. They finally reached the finals. Wow. So, Shuppet Detectives cashing in their free pass to the finals after they were matched against John Friedel and the 12 Plumbers in semis. No surprises there. They smoked us. Here we are, and now Fluttermane Pirates. They had to go through the ringer a little bit. Got sent to the tiebreakers against Cooking with the Boys, but they ended up just knocking them out in the first two games. So these boys, I'm hyped to see what they got. Let's look at the matchups. All right, Super Omega Hyper Analysis mode. Only the finest of insight here from this point forward for the finals. All right. ADV, Sarimi, and Vaz starting off with kind of a lopsided one here, in my opinion. All right. Vaz running the same team every week, and the ADV draft on the other side has a lot of problems, okay? You got no normal resist that opens up to so many issues. I think in this team in particular, there's not really, from Boz's side, there's not anything crazy on paper he has to take advantage of that, but you could see like a mono attacking Registeel, just return, curse, rest, amnesia. Just that could go crazy just because what are you supposed to do? I think like you only have Raikou and Entei that know Roar. Are you gonna slot that on those guys? Probably not, right? I think other than that though, a lot of Surimi's team is just pretty do nothing. And for the Raikou, that's gonna be the best engine to win this game with just Thunderbolt not really having anything for that but the Registeel. But that is going to be able to last against that for a pretty decent amount of time. And I don't think that he's going to be able to get through that by the time Voz wins the game. Just look at what he has. Look at like just even something simple like a Surf Toxic Milotic. What are you even supposed to do against that? Toxic is just so free against everything. You have to just you force to rest on Lantern or Regice, and eventually you can just get through that. And I don't know what Surimi has here other than that. Heracross, it's not that hard to run flying coverage on everything like Hariyama. I don't think that that's going to be able to run away with the game. I just like what Boss has. I think even like the Espeon, maybe you even drop that because of the Umbreon. You can drop that and bring like a Choice Band Stantler. Again, the no normal resist. Even the garbage Stantler can probably go crazy with that. That being said, I got Boss for the first game. Now, DPP, the GOAT, Gil, extremely positive record. I don't remember what it is on the top of my head, but just main in DPP up against Dialpo. So running with the Infernape team again. So this is a interesting matchup. Just on the Pirate side, their draft is just so weird. It's hard to really look into it, see what is going to happen in this game. But one thing that stands out, neither side is going to be able to keep hazards off the field at all. You got no spinner and then a Sandslash into a Rotom, so that's never going to spin. Even when Rotom's not in the matchup, it's a garbage spinner, right? So how does that affect this? I think with that sort of situation, the best thing you can do is match hazards. So then I look at thinking with that idea in mind, I look at Glalie of all things. I like a lead Lumberry Glalie so you don't get put to sleep by Rose Raid. What's stopping you from just getting a bunch of spice up? Like Diablo's team is so passive, like especially if you can just pump special defense on everything. He can't even really break a Glalie off a rip. And you could just like get up 3 spikes right away. I think that could be game winning. You can't get rid of him. Like what are you supposed to do? Steelix? Steelix probably not running a steel move here. It doesn't really hit anything but Celebi. It's probably just going to be Earthquake, Rocks, boom, like +1, right? So that looks really strong. And then with you got spikes up, all you really have to stop Infernape and Gyarados is pretty much just Suicune. And one of them breaks for the other guy and opens it up to go crazy. I think Gil's matchup is definitely better because of that, even if you don't factor Glalie into the equation. And honestly, just like a Swords Dance Infernape, then you have Mach Punch to kill the Dugtrio, or Nasty Plot works too in the same vein because you have Vacuum Wave in this generation as well. So pretty damn good for Gil. I'm gonna give him this one. Black and White, the Rage and King Rock. Oh, the best of the best players in each generation. This is crazy. Oh, let's see. Oh, the Terrakion mirror is interesting. I think both sides kind of. I mean, you can never really be perfect against that thing, but you got the Hippowdon should be able to keep that thing from going crazy. I mean, Donphan is obviously a lot worse than Hippowdon, but it's still you got the bulky ground types to throw into it at the very least. But you don't have anything faster on either side, so probably expect like some kind of Scarf Hydreigon, and then maybe Rotom on the other side for that. I think past that, I don't see anything super crazy that the Rage has. I know Salamence probably gonna be some kind of Life Orb special set. he wouldn't. I don't think you bring physical into Hippowdon Skarmory, but Skarmory is like in black and white. It just can't get the job done against dragons. It can't. It's just not good enough. It just gets blown up by Fire Blast. So that could definitely break through. But looking at what King Rock has, I look at like this look like a bold Reuniclus, just calm mind, recover. It kind of walls the whole team. I don't see how he can get through that very easily without running some kind of trick, which he does have potentially from the Rotom. The Sceptile, oh yeah, I completely missed that. That's something he has that outspeeds the Terrakion. The Rage doesn't quite match him in the speed there, and you can just run Dragon Pulse and Hidden Power Fire and Grass Coverage and pretty much hit everything super effectively. Barring the garbage bottom 3 Pokemon that the Rage has, that's another reason why I'd give King Rock the edge here. I don't think any of his bottom 3 Pokemon are bringing a lot of value here. Maybe just like a Citrus Berry Dusknoir to throw into Terrakion, but I don't even know what it's supposed to do. Can't even do anything to Reuniclus with Magic Guard because it doesn't get any ghost moves, so I don't know. I think a lot of what King Rock has looks good here. I think you just have like Metagross holding back the dragon moves, and if you're switching that into a bunch of Dracos, then the Sceptile goes crazy with the grass moves. I give King Rock the matchup here. And now Oras Garf against Elysian Soul. This one's probably the least close out of all of these. Just off matchup, Garf easily has this one in my opinion. Just look at a couple mons he has. Mew just completely 6-0s. Forget the rest of the team. Just Psychic Fire, Roost. You don't even need a 4th move. You just kill everything. It's very hard to even take out Mew. And then Mega Charizard. It extremely free value. Like Rotom is supposed to be your fire resist. Dragon Garchomp, wait till the dragon moves. You just lead that guy. You don't have to worry about rocks going up and just claim your value. And then after that, how are you supposed to stop the Mew? I don't see it. The Scizor is the only win condition, and that's pretty well contained. Helmet, physical, defensive Skarmory. If you want to, like Garchomp's really their only rocker. Their only way to keep it up consistently anyway, as Elf's just gonna die. So you could run Default Skarmory just for that, and that way you can keep Charizard and Weavile in the game. I don't see any angle for Elysian Soul here. So what is this? 2-2 so far. Okay. Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. Necrowolves and Daniel Marquavius Clay. Now, what do we have? Okay, so first of all, I just gotta say, if you need any reason to root for Fluttermane Pirates, look at what Shub Detectives choose as their flex slot every week. They're making us watch 2 Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon games every week. And come on. But I think that this works in their favor here. Necrowolves looks like the Mega Gallade just goes, it's unguardable. It's just completely unguardable. What are you going to do? Send in your Tapo Coco as your fighting resist and take 50%? That seems terrible. Nothing else he has is necessarily that strong. I think the Thundurus is probably his second best weapon. Because you can hit everything with coverage. Like Thunderbolt, Ice, and then Psychic. And that just hits the whole team. And you can taunt the Mega Venusaur if it wants to just sit there and click Synthesis. You can also outspeed the Klefki Prankster, which is kind of tough. Or you could just run 4 attacks, have Sludge Wave for the Tapu Koko as well. And the Greninja is kind of whatever. I don't know that guy to be the best Z-move user in the world. Maybe that's what you just run on Thundurus instead. He does have Nidoking to kind of check the Koko. I like what Necrowolves has a lot better. On to Sword and Shield. Zeb and Johnny. Oh, what do we see? Honestly, this one's pretty even just because Zero Aura looks so damn strong. Unless Zeb brings the Stunfisk, which I think he should. I think he should here. His discharge is pretty free, or just toxic for that matter. Like just toxic to Kyurem or Rillaboom, like that. That's really all they have to switch in. Like Earth Power and discharge kind of just kills everything else. And you have the helmet on that probably for the Zero Aura, so that doesn't get out of hand. It looks pretty strong. And then there's nothing super crazy on Johnny's side besides the Zero Aura. Like Jirachi will be able to stop the Kyurem. Rillaboom's got to contend with Mandibuzz. Uh, if Zeb brings the Stunfisk, I give him this one. If he benches it, Johnny has to win. But I'm just gonna say Zeb for now. And that is what 4-2 now. Okay, so they're at least tying up the series. How do we fight back? Florida Main Pirates, come on, flex slot. All right, flex ADV, S, and Intago. So obviously, Florida Main Pirates going to flex ADV into these guys, and it's clear to see why. This matchup is a little bit more even than the other one, but I still think Nintago should be pretty free here. The one thing that's scary is no real rock resist, so maybe like a banded T-Tar could go crazy. But I mean, Regirock is good enough, and you can run fighting coverage on the top three with like the Blastoise Venusaur. You also hit that with super effective coverage. I think you should be able to contain that. I think also you can contain the spikes pretty well. Fortress is garbage at keeping them up against Blastoise. So all in all, I don't think S has anything that can win him this game besides the Tyranitar. But we'll see. We'll see if that's enough. The Snorlax is a little bit less good in sand, but he still doesn't really have anything great to stop that. Like Cradilly is your best rock, your best normal resist, because Tyranitar gets blown up by a Brick Break. I mean, I don't even see how Cradilly is supposed to beat it, so, you know. And then Alakazam can encore the Espeon as well. He can't get anything done here. The Crobat, he has to bring the Crobat to revenge kill the Alakazam, and that also just gets walled all day by Regirock. Maybe that's your angle. Maybe you get the Crobat to weaken the Regirock, and somehow, like a Dragon Dance Tyranitar somehow finds a way to win. But you still have Alakazam. You could EV to outspeed even a +1. So I don't know. It's hard. It's hard for S, but there's some angles there, I guess. So last game of the series, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, Fortune, Nightmare up against Steering. And I don't know, I see a team that looks really bad into Megalop. Not gonna lie, what are you even supposed to bring for that? Like a helmet, Poison Point, Nidoking? That would actually be kind of tough, but like they don't even have anything else that's good. Like Zygarde could be pretty scary. Like Clefable should be able to wall that past a Z move, which it does have access to. You can also just run Ice Fang on your Gliscor. You can run ice moves out the ass, and you'll be pretty well secured against his team. He doesn't really have anything else that's winning him this game, I think. Granted, you're kind of forced into some kind of helmet torn for the Kartana, but it's pretty good at walling that. That being said, you don't have a good Scarfer to get ahead of that guy, so maybe somehow Kartana finds a way. But I think Steering could still be pretty favored, just looking at the Megalop. The Clefable does look pretty bad in the matchup, though. Like, Jirachi and Nidoking are pretty bad. But you probably don't even need it to wall the Zygarde. Like I said, you got all the ice moves in the world, so I think it should be okay. So what is that? 4-4 tied game. So now I gotta call the tiebreakers, guys. I think it's going to tiebreak. So the question is, what formats is everybody going to slot? Who's going to be slotted in? Who are the best players? So for me, I think it's kind of obvious to me what the tiebreaker is going to look like. So Shuppets, of course, being the higher seed, get to pick the two formats, and FMP will get one. That one is very clear to me at ADV for the Pirate side. Both of their ADV matchups look good here. They clearly have the better players in ADV. That one's a lock. And as for the Shubbits, that's where maybe things could get interesting. I still think ORAS is a pretty clear angle for them because of Garth being one of their better players. The ORAS matchup looks crazy for them in this. And then the last one is probably just Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon because they spam the Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon games in the flex slot. They're confident about it, and that may come back to bite them. I'm picking Steering to beat them in one of their Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon games. So we'll see. I still think being able to pick those two formats gives them a little bit of an advantage here in the tiebreaks. Inevitably, Shubbit Detectives gets my final vote for championship of PDT. So we'll see. We'll see if they can get the back-to-back win, guys. But I'm finally done yapping now. So Mongoose,
So it's on to some real coverage
please.
and some real good takes. Now we're going to start off with the best tier, of course. There's a reason you start out with it. It's not because it's all the way on the left. We have ADV between Surimi and Vaz. Now every week I hear tale that this Raikou is a nightmare matchup for Vaz's team. And I'll admit that I thought that myself. I got gassed up by Zazo and whoever else was saying, oh yeah, there's no electric resist on this team, whatever. And then I got whooped. And then Daisy had basically the exact same team. And I thought, you know what? It was just player differential last time. I'm going to smoke him. I won 1-0. So clearly, everyone is blind as a bat and can't make these picks. The tail of it is in the results. This fucking do-nothing team with the electric resist being Sceptile has smoked every Raikou that's shown up on the front door, and Vaz leads it off 1-0. And now in DPP, this is a rough-looking matchup. In my opinion, this is, that's based on years and years of DPP draft play. And I'll tell you, and I knew for a fact that Rotom was not 6 different Pokemon in this tier. I didn't have to get told that by Lou and Freeday 30 minutes ago. I was well aware that there weren't 6 Rotoms out running around. I think Gil has this one because you've got a bulky do-nothing team versus Celebi is a nightmare. Number one, for this whole squad, Celebi is a disaster. You're forced to run Rotom Heat, I guess. It doesn't change the type matchup, but at least it has Overheat. And Fernape as an offensive engine, I think forces constant 50-50 decisions for Dialpo here. And whenever it's in, and you can, with the matchup being as well in your favor, you can constantly pivot it in with U-turn. You can double switch if you want to get saucy. I wouldn't because the matchup's in your favor. Run T-Spikes on Drapion, forces Roserade in sometimes. Dialpo, he'll get hazards up every now and then. Who cares? Just stay in front of your man and win this game. You've got the better mons. And we're tied up 1-1. We go to black and white. The Rage versus King Rock. Now, this is a Terrakion matchup. And you may say, John Mongoose, there's a Terrakion on both sides. And I'll say to you to check your eyes. And then I'll squint real big and I'll say, oh yeah, there are 2 of them. But the one on the Rage's side is the scarier one. I'm thinking we're looking at sub SD close combat Stone Edge from the Rage here. And on the Rage's side, Donphan is the spinner, being a ground type, really does help against the sand team. They can sit there, spin forever, which you need against Skarm, and I'm sure Hippo will be what's setting rocks. Could be Hydreigon, but then you've lost your mind. Now for King Rock, he's got that hard body Reuniclus. We're looking at CM Recover Psychic HP 5. HP 5? Metagross. I was having to double check what I was thinking. And then I think you run something on Hydreigon, you keep it secret. You don't run any lefties, you don't run Life Orb, you don't run a choice item. Do something stupid like Scoplians, I don't know. And then as you're sitting, you're clicking U-turn, you're pivoting around. eventually you'll click like a Dragon Pulse, Metagross will come in to Revenge Kill or do something. Bam! Fire Blast right to the dome, baby. That's your line. And I've got King Rock taking this one. I think there's too many tools for the Sand team here. I think it's incredibly annoying. The Subseed, Sceptile. It's a rough matchup for the Rage. 2-1 Pirates. And then we move to ORAS. Now here's the deal. Free Day was already talking about this, about the Mew, but he had the wrong idea. He was talking no fourth move. You got to have a fourth move here. It's Nasty Plot. We're going to get nasty, boys. You're going to run Expert Belt. You're going to have Ice Beam. You're going to have Flamethrower, Nasty Plot, Roost. I don't want to see any pussy Will-O-Wisp, U-Turn, Roost, Mew. You spent all the points on the thing. It's time to do something with it. And, you know, the Coffin Ghost can do something maybe. It can steal Technician from Scizor. I don't know. This is the Mew matchup, baby. Mega Scizor doesn't look good. Megazard looks great. Tentacruel looks fine. Garf wins 2-2. And now we move to Yusum. And I'm going to go ahead and cover both Yusum games at once just to get them out of the way. You'll not hear any Yusum breakdowns from me. The same as you won't find, you know, John Gruden doing any film breakdown from your nephew's Little League football games. I'm not going to waste my time on Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. But Necro Wolves, actually, no, never mind. DJ Clay and Fortune are my picks to win those two. 3-3. Now we're back to a kind of a real tier. I've got Zeb Strike 'em down, taking this one. I think Starmie looks pretty strong. Bring a defensive Garchomp for Zeraora, get up rocks, click Toxic. I guess the G-Weezing's kind of annoying. That whatever. Jirachi likes to steal games. It can steal this game, maybe. 4-3, Shepard. And then we go to ADV, the Thinking Man's tier, and the Enlightened Man's tier. And on one side, we have the perfect first three picks. We got Snorlax, Dragonite, Regirock. Some people might say, oh, you want Gyarados in that Dragonite slot. Nah, you're wrong. Listen to Kalis. He knows what's best. Then you have Stoys and Zam afterwards. There's very little to say here except, you know, good luck to AC/DC. And with that, we're tied up 4-4. And just like my man John Freeday, I have the Shuppets going ORAS and Yusum. I wish they wouldn't. I wish they'd do one of the other great tiers if this goes to a tiebreaker. And on the Pirates side, I have them going with ADV. But I have the Pirates taking over and winning 2-0 in a tiebreaker to win the title. And Lou, you're up.
All right. Thank you from my favorite Waffle House employee over there.
Heck.
All right.
I know we're going for anybody listening.
A lot of tie breaks. Let's see if we go 3 for 3 here. All right. So first up, you got Sarimi and you got Vaz. The people seem to be slamming Vaz. The people have Vaz 15-9. One thing that wasn't covered that I do actually like here for Sarimi, I like the double pressure coming from the dogs on Sarimi's side. I feel like if you can get a sub Calm Mind Entei set, you can try and squeeze some of the Milo PP out. You can try and force progress that way. If that Entei is able to, if it's able to snowball a little bit mid-game, I feel like that might be a possible win con for Sarimi, but it's pretty tough. I was looking at it, and all season long from this Vaz team, to me, the unsung hero has really been the Sceptile. I actually really like its matchup again this week. I think that Sarimi obviously is going to bench the token Shuppet, but besides that, I see him also benching this Claydol and then just running, what you guys are going to call do nothing. But to me, I really see Sarimi trying to grind this game out and playing the long game. But all in all, I think it's just too impractical. And I think that Vaz has the tools. I also think that player diff is going to play a part, especially over the course of what I'm expecting to be a long game. So I have Vaz putting the Fluttermane Pirates up 1-0 to start this series. Moving over to DPP, you've got Gil versus Dialpo. Let's check what the people are saying. No surprise, the people have Gil winning this by a little bit of a comfortable margin, by a 5-vote margin at the time of this recording. But folks, I agree. I'm not the biggest fan necessarily of this DPP team, in of itself. However, a mon that you guys didn't cover that I really like in this matchup here is the Cresselia. Again, I think the Cresselia, it's going to have Calm Mind. It's going to be a menace to take out of this game. It still has the ability, it can run, T-Wave. It can really cripple a lot of things on Gil's side. Noted what you guys said. That was some good analysis about the Infernape being able to set up. To me, though, when I look at the matchup, I just see a simple mixed Infernape set. It's going to definitely try and set up, should the Dugtrio come in, it's going to be able to try and take it out with one of those priority moves so that it doesn't get trapped, and then suddenly you just lose your round 1 pick to nothing. However, I think over the course of this game, I think that the narrative that I see playing out is leading me to see an upset. I see the Suicune and I see the Cresselia. I feel like those two Mons are going to be able to, over the course of this game, push back, heal, going on the offense with the Infernape, with the Gyarados. He also happens to have, a couple of other good supporting pieces. You have the Roserade, and then another Mon I could potentially see coming is this Tauros. And the reason for that, you've got a great ability in Intimidate, and then you have a great speed figure for this matchup. You've got some Mons to me that don't do all that much from Gil's side. The Sandslash, horrible. You've got the Glalie, which I'm seeing what you guys are seeing as well, but over the course of such a long game, I think that Gil's Mons, like the Bronzong as well, they just have a shorter lifespan in my eyes. If we had King Clyde on the broadcast, you might be able to give Gil one of the cheese builds for the Bronzong. So Dialpo, like when you're looking at this, look, you don't have a dark type on your team. However, you still have Cress. But yeah, there's an angle where Gil could run Calm Mind, single attack, Bronzong. I say that because it happened to me once against a King Clyde build. But nonetheless, I think that Dialpo, when I run this match most times through when I shadow box, I just feel like Gil's not going to be able to break through. So all in all, I have the Fluttermane Pirates going out to a 2-0 lead to start this, which is a little bit improbable based on what we saw in the regular season when they played. Next up as you guys were saying, we've got the Terrakion mirror from Rage and King Rock. I look at this matchup, and it has similar themes to the first two games. You have a defensive backbone here for King Rock that's going to, give its darndest effort to contain Terrakion. Terrakion is such a premier mon in this meta because it is so hard to check in the black and white meta. However, this is one of the best teams I've seen, quite frankly, at doing its best job to try and contain it. You have what was already covered, the Reuniclus, the Hippo. You also have Wheezing. You have Frillish as well, which I don't think they end up bringing Frillish, but you throw an Eviolite on that, and there is some bulk, and it definitely can do something against the Terrakion should it be choice locked, which it might in a mirror like this. It might have to come just so that it doesn't get downed and dunked on by the opposing Terrakion or from King Rock's Sceptile. When you look at the rest of this matchup, potential way for Rage might be from this Metagross. If this Metagross, the juice gets loose, here's a potential progress setter over there. But when I go to the bottom three that Friede was already talking about, you've got Garbodor, Dusknoir, and Electrode, and to me, like, that is absolutely fucking disgusting. Like, really bad, y'all. The Salamence ain't bad. Here with some sort of a mix set might be pretty good. But all in all, I see the Fluttermane Pirates sailing off to a 3-0 lead. King Rock, he has the defensive pieces here. I know it's an offensive metagame, but I just feel like the matchup leads me to believe King Rock. So that's 3-0 Fluttermane Pirates. Here's where everything starts to change, though, folks. Oh, Ras. I agree with everything that you guys are saying. This is, when we talk about lopsided matchup, I also, this is one of the better players that we have in this tour. In Garf, which is funny because he's super nonchalant. Hey guys, don't spend too much money on me. I'm not going to take it too seriously. And here he is going on, the run of his career with a tremendous showing, weekly. He's been a stalwart here and a pillar, for the Shuppet Detective squad. You guys have already talked about it with the Mew. Anthony Zazzo literally gave us one of his iconic 6-minute audio messages, giving every nook and cranny, covering this matchup. Everybody, for the most part, here let's look. Garf 16 to 8, according to the people. Out of those 8, I'm sure a good chunk are Fluttermane Pirates. Like this, folks, this is not close on paper. Megazard X, one Dragon Dance, and holy crap, it is punching absolute holes into this game. You have a Weavile applying pressure against a Garchomp. Likewise, the Crobat can still carry coverage as needed for the rest of these threats. That's scary. You have Skarm, to get up your hazards and, try and contain the physical threats on Elysian's side. I just can't see a practical way here for Elysian, to take this game. So Garf gets the Detectives into the win column. The series is now at 3-1 at the halfway. Now we start to go into the Shuppet Detectives turf. Their bread and butter all season has been USUM. You've got, in the first USUM game, you've got Captain Necrowolves versus opposing captain, Damien the Genius, SPL player, a great player at that. These are two good players. One thing that I really like here is I like this Dundee. I really like this Dundee. This thing comes in mid-game with the right coverage. You get an agility. Holy shit, this thing is taking names. This is tier 1 Delta Force operator Dundee. Like, it's not coming here to dish up Swiss cheese T-waves. No, like, this edge is razor sharp. It's conducting a raid, and it's taking out whatever fucking mon that it wants on that pirate roster. I mean, we kind of see the 6 that are coming from Necro, like Reggie, Giga Chud ain't coming. Tangela, maybe you can make an argument. I don't really see it though, with the Mega Venu. So we know the 6 that are coming from Necro. But to me, like, you know, he's going to play a comfortable game. You potentially have, you know, plausible stuff like screens coming from the clef key, support, you know, trying to set conditions with the Uxie, getting up hazards, you know, trying to cripple with status these threats on DM Clay's team. I think the Greninja is going to be able to help force progress as well. And yeah, to me, like, I think it's going to be a close-ish game. And then once that Dundee comes in, once that Dundee sets up, to me with an agility, GG. Like, I hope DM Clay has like a focus sash or something, and hazards aren't up. Like, to me, that's ball game once conditions are set. So with that said, I've got Necro Wolves taking that and moving the series to 3-2. We've got a series, y'all. Now we go into Sword and Shield. You've got Zeb strike him down, Captain Zeb, versus Prince Johnny, the heir to King Rock's throne, the right-hand man for the Fluttermane Pirates. I'm a little bit relieved. We're seeing a Zero Aura, and we're not seeing that dopey-ass Tapu Koko that we've been seeing all season every single time we see a Zero Aura. So, alas, that is a win. You got to take the wins wherever you can find them in this day and age. All right, though, let's look at the matchup. The people, what do the people have here? They've got 17-9 in favor of Zeb. Oh, good God. We've also, the expert for this was my good friend, the wonderful Addison. She also had Zeb. All right, let's go into why everybody and their grandmother appears to have Zeb. So you got a Garchomp, great speed figures. I'm looking. Jirachi. All right, this isn't to me as bad as what the people are making it out to be. I'm seeing here if Johnny can get this Garchomp out of the way, I think the Zera really starts to force progress. Yeah, it's not. Don't get me wrong, folks. I don't like it by any means, but I don't think the matchup is as bad. I don't think that Johnny wins. It's as surprising as you guys would think. Curum. I do like the Starmie though. The Starmie looks very good. But all in all, I still expect Zeb to win. And I have Zeb strike him down, tying up this series. Now we go into our final two games. You've got SEBC versus Nintago Foxo. All right, let's get into it. A large mongoose. You mentioned this top 3 for Nintago Foxo: Snorlax, Dragonite, Regirock. That 3 look freaking tremendous here, y'all. They look tremendous. I see a third round Fortress. Now, I've been in ADV long enough that I remember when Fortress stocks were high a few years ago. At one point, Fortress got up to 13 or 14. Lord have mercy, though. Let's never see the light of day in 8 Mine where Fortress is that expensive ever a fucking again. Please. But when I look at this top to bottom, y'all, like, Nintago just has the more complete team. I'm not saying that this game is out of reach. It is ADV. Double damage crits seem to happen at the worst time. But look at it, though, guys. Like, how the fuck is he getting through the Snorlax? Unless he likes to, Nintago Foxo wants to, dance in traffic. Maybe, like, this thing catches a focus punch from a Tyranitar and, like, does a crit or whatever. Like, I don't know. To me, if I'm not going to talk the matchup as much as I'm going to talk the player here. When I watch Nintago Foxo play, he's very patient. He doesn't want to play the short game. He is going to see the long game. He's going to see that the game is in his favor. He's going to minimize mistakes. Y'all, as long as he doesn't give Tyranitar the juice to get loose, and he preserves his Snorlax, he has the tools, at the ready to drive this to probably like a 3-0 win. He's got the Alakazam, the Venu. Yeah, there's too much going for him here. And all right, I'm seeing one thing. So you guys know, good friend of mine, LRXC, our friend from the Battle Tower. Back in the day, he used to have a saying on his channel, Crobat Nation. Now, Emerald Open 4 was 2 years ago. Oh, it was my best one. I had a Crobat. And Crobat Nation helped me make it to redraft. I think if you're SEBC, if you can find a way to take out this Regirock, your best chance at winning this game, get Regirock out and just fucking click buttons with this Crobat. That's the most calculated thing I can kind of see. All right. Nonetheless, I've got Nintago Foxo taking it. That's 4-3. Fluttermane Pirates are knocking on the door of a ship. I wouldn't say a student of mine, but I would say a good friend of mine. Nightmare, also known as Fortune, based on what day of the week it is and what we put on these sign-up slips, is playing controversial draft league player who has done no wrong to any of the 3 people here. Steering, who's had a great season. Steering, can you take the Fluttermane Pirates to victory? Or can Nightmare believe in dreams for once and keep his team and their dreams alive? Let's see. All right. So, oh, good God. It's the god-awful Usum tier. What do the people say? The people are divided. The people are saying 12. Good God. Yeah, it's pretty. All right. Oh. All right. One thing I do like here, I like the Primarina a lot. Also, Torn T this gen isn't as good as Torn T of SV and Sword and Shield. You know, partially, predating boots, but there's a couple of other reasons, coverage options. Zygarde, this is a close one. I can see why it's 12-12. Steering one way that he could potentially win. If he gets this Kartana out of the way, it really opens up the Mew. Oh, it sucks though. This is tough. I'm gonna go a Nightmare, and we're going into sudden death tiebreakers, y'all. And with that said, we're gonna go a little bit more in depth in my tiebreakers. So, I agree with what you guys have all said. I've got the Fluttermane Pirates picking ADV. The reason for that, they want to get our good friend Vaz into the spotlight under the bright lights. However, opposing him on the Shuppet Detectives, who is it going to be? Before I announce who it will be, let's go into what the Shuppet Detectives I have picking. I have the Shuppet Detectives picking tiers to ensure a win for their statistical best players. I believe statistical best players. And by that, I've got them trying to get Geel a game, and I have them trying to get Garf a game. So I've got in ORAS, I've got King Rock versus Garf. In DPP, I've got Nintago Foxo versus Geel. And then in ADV, I have Vaz versus Zeb Strike him down. Here's what I'll say. Garf is going to have a crazy-ass matchup in ORAS. He's going to take that. I think King Rock's going to give it his best effort, but I have Garf taking that first game 2-0. Then you got Vaz versus Zeb. Now, I think Zeb gets the slot here because they got to find somewhere. Zeb's having a phenomenal season. But to me, I feel like when we see Zeb drift down to ADV here, it's going to be a replay of what we saw in UDL, the server-based team tour, where Zeb was slotting ADV for Coliseum's team. I've also seen Zeb, he'll play in the ADV circuit. Zeb is not a bad ADV player, but he's not a good ADV player, which is kind of similar to me where, yeah, at my best I can make a redraft, but there is just there's so many intricacies with the ADV metagame that to be consistent and play at a high level, something that we have seen since Vaz has emerged on the scene this last year plus and change where he's been in the spotlight. Y'all, like there's nothing to say. Like, this is such a safe pick. We've already seen earlier the Pirates have the better ADV teams. I think Zeb's going to give it a noble try. If that ends up being the op over there, they could put Sarimi or Essie back, but I think that they're going to want to slot at least one of their captains if they don't go with Usum or Sword and Shield. So with that said, we're 1-1, and the final game is the best meta game of all time. Diamond, Pearl, Platinum. And we have two of the greats. Hey, don't give me that look. That was the greatest game ever. Ever. Not of all time.
Gold, Soul Silver, buddy. That was the best game. I know, same gen.
Yeah, Gen 4. Gen 4.
Hey.
All right. But your post split, you got abilities. It's before things started to get nutty. The metagame was healthy. There's no ridiculousness of Gen 5. You have no ridiculous post anime time skip power creeps like everything we've seen in ORAS and beyond, where you just get 10 new legendaries, mythicals, whatever they're calling the 600-esque, base stat mons. Now they're like upper 500s. I don't know. But there's too many of them. They've destabilized the metagames. Anyway, I'm going on a rant. We're going DPP for the final. You got Gil, who has had a tremendous tour. However, Nintago Foxo, I have winning it and winning Resurgence 2 for Fluttermane Pirates. The Pirates are my pick. They sail the high seas to the podium. Or I could be wrong. I could be wrong. And then, Monday morning, I'll hear dun, 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 and it will be the angry mob of the Shuppet detectives ready to serve me, my wrong papers. They'll be in my DMs, they'll be in the server. They are the loudest and proudest team that has been put together in this tour. So if I'm wrong, they're gonna let me know. But I've been utterly consistent since I've taken to backing the Pirates, and I have them winning it in a thrilling fashion with Distortion, the previous Distortion champion in Nintago Foxo, beating Gil to win the whole thing. With that said, y'all, I think this is a new precedent. We have done a little bit over 55 minutes on one game. Yeah. Wow. So
Give me a time machine to go back 2 months. We could have been up to 5 a.m.
Yeah, that's true. All right.
Especially more than 3 people.
Before we sign off, I want to thank Friday and I want to thank a large mongoose for not missing a single week, unlike some guests that we've had that may or may not like Latinas, may or may not like a jail cell. These two boys have been consistent every single time that their jersey number was called into the game. They've taken the ball and pitched. With that said, I'm going to try and compensate you guys both, whether it's with plushies for a large mongoose or like a late wedding gift for a large mongoose or something to help you, Friday. I know you're the mysterious John Friday. However I can help, I will. Keeping it back online though, with Resurgence. Next year at some point we'll get Resurgence Team Tour 3 together. I'm more than likely going to keep it at 8 playing slots, but I'm gonna stay open. We'll look at 8 games a week. We'll look at 7. We'll look at 9. What is going to stay the same though? I'm more than likely going to keep the 3 through 8. And we can explore other options. But yeah, it's gonna come back, and when it's back, it'll be bigger and better than ever. And yeah, I hope to not have to captain that time, but god dang.
Now, is there any way that we can get rid of Usum and do Gen 2 instead?
I'm sure Butterchoke would love that, but I can't find anybody else that would want to slot that.
I think that might be the only one that would be worse.
Who knows? I mean, by the time that the next one comes out, potentially Gen 9 with the Champions meta, Gen 9 could be passed if people are itching to get their Terra back on. I know I'm not, but some people might. So we'll see. I mean, I'm thinking it now. If Champions is like god awful and we're itching to play Scarlet and Violet again, who knows? All right, I'm done yapping. Gents, do you guys have any closing thoughts?
We got nothing, buddy, except Pirates 2-0. It's coming. Hopefully.
Free day.
I can give a little mini closing speech, I suppose, but like, listen to this, guys. I don't know if I've told this story before. This is when you first got me on for this. When you first pitched this idea of the Super Show, a new kid on the block in PDT Resurgence. I didn't know what the deal was. I thought I was just going to be just one guest, and you'd keep rotating people in the weeks to come. Lo and behold, I'm here every damn week. I didn't realize this is what it was going to be until second week came around. We're like, all right, are you ready? Okay. And now look where we are. I put my life on the line for this, and it's been great. It's been fun. The Resurgence next year, I hope you're right. I think bigger and better than ever. Rally the troops, everybody. Bring your friends. Make it something special. But we still got this one to get through. All right. So we'll see. Florida Main Pirates. I've been glazing you guys from the very beginning, and now I turn my back on you to pick Shuppets. But I'd love to be proven wrong. But either way, it's been fun. Like I said, going through these, just sight reading the matchups for like 3 hours straight has been pretty entertaining for me. Hope it has been for you guys too, hearing us yap. If you made it to this point, you're a real super fan. All right, you're a hero in the PDT community. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. All right, but yap aside, I've yapped for about 50 hours in my room alone in a microphone to these guys. So that I'm fine to just pack it up here and save it all for next year. But we'll see where the road takes us, folks.
All right. And with that said, I'm off to the bar. It is Friday night. We'll see you guys next season.
City boy.